Hello and welcome back, my gorgeous, thriving souls. This is Kelly. We are here in the new year, and I cannot wait to talk more about it. So, if you haven't really tuned in too much to the astrology, this week in particular, this week in February of 2026 is incredibly impactful. I always like to touch on astrology. I'm not an astrologer, but it is powerful, and I am going to just really feel into that energy. So it is a brand new year, which is the year of the fire horse. And already that feel like even just saying the name, the fire horse feels powerful. The wood snake was the year that we have left behind. And I know that I'm not the only one that experienced a ton of shedding last year. Shedding, things that were completely unexpected happened, pillars of our lives, relationships that we have had in our lives just fall and crumble. And this has not been an easy experience for the majority of us. For some of us, this was happening on a microcosm of your own life when we talk about that and relationships individually. And for some of us, this was, also speaking into the larger void of, or sorry, not the larger void, the larger experience of the collective in the world. And so politically and geopolitically and all of the things that go along with that, because that also includes perceptions that you have of where you live or what certain countries hold. And all of that together has taken a enormous amount of transformation. And for a lot of us, it is a personal experience because you've chosen to maybe look at things that you didn't look at before and understand things in a different way that you just were not willing to see before and allowed them to start to crumble. But when we have the new year here, then we're talking about what's next, right? It's new. And I feel like the energy of this has been like streaming in. I feel like I started to almost feel this lighter. It's like when you're on a beach and you feel like cooler currents and warmer currents. Like I was feeling like this intermittent current of it coming even in November. And towards the end of December, I was really feeling this lightness of just opportunity and new possibility. And so I have a couple themes that we're going to go over today. Refer to my notes. I made some notes on this one. Just it feels bigger. So we're going to talk about that. Okay. So first of all, leaning into what the fire horse means for you is really going to be a practice of setting an intention for yourself and asking yourself truly in your heart of hearts what you want. What do I want? Okay, it's like that scene in the Notebook. What do you want? That's literally what's going on here. And the fire horse is so incredibly passionate. It is a primal feeling of running towards what you are wanting to get. Okay, so with that, it is going to be fast. All right, this energy feels fast, it feels fiery, it feels like to a certain degree you are in the choice between what you choose in your decision. So, this is where the intention comes in with knowing what you want and having clarity, because that is going to create a more honed in feeling for how to channel this very powerful force that is happening. The force could start running and you're holding the reins and you are feeling like you're just being led wherever it's happening. But that is one experience that's possible for this year. Another experience that's possible for this year is simply having clarity and knowing what you want and calling that in, harnessing it. So instead of being on this wild horse that is going to make things feel very fast, you can instead choose with your intention and with your clarity and knowing what you need and knowing what you want to begin to harness and channel it in a different way. So instead of it kind of running amok and being wild, and there is a certain, excitement in that too, and just like letting it be completely wild and unharnessed and free. However, that might feel a lot of us like might lead a lot of us into a feeling of dysregulation. And so if that feels really way too out of control for you, then this is where we have to kind of hone in. Okay, lock in, gotta lock in. And when we're locking in, that is when there's like, I literally can see a visual of like beginning to hone in, locking in on exactly what you want. And as you're allowing the passion, and it could be even like rage, like channeled deep, archaic feminine rage is a part of this, um, coming through you, that you are, because you're so laser focused, it's like allowing all of these opportunities and different pathways to open up in front of you, which are your choice, which are your free will. This is a year where you are able to build. You are able to build what you are looking to have. Okay, so creation, opportunity, all of it's here. Letting the fire in your belly and the spark in your heart like lead your way, and getting really clear on what that is. And so directing it, when you play pool and it's like, I haven't played pool for a really long time, I'm going to be honest with you, but I do remember this, which is that you can call your pocket. And if you miss, then you scratch. So like the game's over. But if you call your pocket and you get it in, that it's like a higher stakes game. And it's asking you, that's what this year is asking you, is to call your pocket. Call it in, direct it. You're like directing the energy. Let me see one more thing here. As I wrote in my, okay. So the other part of this is that there's just we know how much, if you follow me here, like truly the veil is like so thin. And so your ability to have greater understanding, have an inner knowing that's very connected, it's all coming into, like, hopefully you can utilize that to write down your clarity and to get your intention right. But the other piece of this is that so far we've been existing with a lot of falsehoods present. And sometimes it's really hard to try to like suss that out and figure out like what's true and what's not true. Except this year is like not playing with that crap. So the falsehoods, false narratives, lies, on the grand scheme of things are just burning away. Like they're literally like tinder in this energy. Like there is no room for false narratives, for falsehoods, or that we, especially energetically, if you're very open, like you can just see them more clearly. The other part of this is on a personal level. So on a personal level, you are not going to be able to like grin and bear it. The time of like fake little small talk is like over. I mean, it's just not going to get you anywhere anymore. The connections that are being made at this juncture in this year coming forward are deep, true. They are on a soul level. And so when you are working with that level of connection, there really isn't room for falsehood. There's no time for that. Why? You wouldn't keep doing it. The people pleasing, the grinning and bearing it, it's just not going to be present in this energy. The energy doesn't allow for it. So not that that was always a horrible thing, but it's just not allowing people to live in their truth. And that's what this is all about too. So living in your truth, being really honest about it. Okay, that was a really long theme. That was kind of like a couple themes melded into one, but you get the point. The second theme that we have here today is talking about the forward path. And so the visual that came along with this was literally looking back and seeing that the path that you had just walked on to get here, basically, maybe it was like a bridge, coming between two cliffs, and the bridge has just fallen down. So there is no path backwards. We are only going forwards. Everything back there, it's gone. It's like the door has shut, the path is closed, and it is not going to be reopened. It's over. This is new forward energy only. And I think for some people that might feel a little bit nerve wracking. It makes you a little bit nervous because the sense of nostalgia that you get and the safety that you might get from kind of feeling like, well, I can always go back to blah, 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 like something I did before. It's not even going to be the same. Like, let's say you did go back to a job or did go back to something you were doing. It just it won't be like it was, if that makes sense. In this new path forward, there will be people who will try to tell you that you were alone. Oh, that's just you. Oh, I think that that's your own experience. Or really just getting a sense that you're the only one going through what you're going through. You're the only one understanding what you understand. You're the only one doing these deep dives, researches into things that you are trying to learn and know about. But you aren't. You aren't alone. And really, community and coming together, even if it's just one or two people in your life who have the ability to see you for who you truly are, who you can connect with, this is really coming into real life now. Because I feel like so much of this, so much of the time where people who have been healing, people who have been going through things and shedding old identities and going through their trauma, so much of that population of people has been doing it independently. It's like it's one person here and one person here and one person there, and they're kind of like spread out. And there is a communal gathering that is happening and a recognition of one another as well. And so with this time frame also comes community, and also just the understanding that you're not alone. Just glancing at my notes really here. So there's so many, the next theme being sort of adjacent to that theme, which that there's so many collective experiences happening. So there's like psychic awakenings happening, and there's callings and stirrings of the soul that are happening. People just leaving their jobs, people losing their jobs, people having a whole new plan for their life. There is a collective outcry for the innocent. There is a collective coalition, like planning a protection of our vulnerable populations of people. And there is a quaking of, that may seem like it's from the earth herself, to like flip the tables on the way that we've been doing things for centuries, the way that the world has been run for centuries. These collective experiences are just one more layer deeper of opportunity to connect with other people who feel like you, who are in enough of a expansion state as you, who are outwardly seeking that. And it's been really hard for people to find that, I think, outside of like online communities and circles and things that people that you're following in social media and things like that. But it's going to come more into like real life connection. And so that's truly a beautiful thing. The next piece is really about force of good, and that we are, as a humanity, standing at the doorway of a new way to do things. And so with this energy, it's like new doors are opening, opportunities opening, all of these things. And with that is also what I and many other people would call the builders of the new world. Like there's like a new way that we'll be doing things. And this is also in coalition with the people who are the good of the world. The majority of the systems that have been built in this world have been by the people who are not with the intention of doing good in the world. But this is going, it's changing, it's flipping, it's not able to sustain anymore. And the true nurturers and the protectors of the feminine, that have been dominated over for centuries, will stop believing the lie that they should be dominated over, right? The protectors, the nurturers, the feminine that have been dominated over for centuries have also played a role because they were made to believe, and they believe the lie that that's where their place was. And we are also we have entered and are continuing to enter into this space where we don't believe that lie anymore. And so it's so incredibly powerful. It's over. Like, that narrative that has controlled things for so long is over. And there is like a reckoning and a recognition of power, like the true power of good and light. And that is what will be, I mean, it's undeniable, the shift in power. And that will be also within the energy of this year. And so, in these collective experiences, psychic awakenings, and having the ability to kind of energetically be open, you're also able to see one another. And I've talked about this a little bit on the podcast, but just see one another differently. So when you are able to not only see a person because you know who they are and where they live and where they work and these things about them, you literally see them like they're energetically. It's like you sense them energetically. And this is just opening one more layer into our expansion as a collective, and also a oneness that is among us, that for a lot of people, just it's really hard for them to understand that concept, or even like hear that concept as a reality. But there are those of us who are continuing our expansion that are able to actually see one another energetically and like feel that. So that is contributing to the oneness of humanity, of all of humanity. And so it's really just one more doorway that we're opening. And it's also one more way that we're recognizing that lie. How I said earlier, like people will say like, oh, you're alone in this. And it's like the more that you open and the more that you're able to see other people and connect with them, it's just like the truth is so obvious. You're like, that is a lie. Like, that is a blatant lie that I am alone. Like I could never be alone. I'm never, ever alone. Spiritually, energetically, like there's no way, it's not impossible. Like, it's just completely impossible. And so the oneness is coming through more deeply for a lot of people. And then your the very last theme for today is about outward perceptions and how we can manage with that. So the outward perception, and this is, the day-to-day talk. This is the news cycle. This is how it looks, because don't forget that there are structures that are dying and literally clamoring for every last thread of power that they want to continue to hold on to. But, somebody likened this the other day when I was talking with them. Somebody likened this to a waterfall going over the edge of a cliff. Like, it's happening. And in that, sometimes the desperation can feel really ugly and look ugly from the outside. I mean, and it really, in multiple meditations that I have had, like a really recurrent theme is the idea that it will look like things are ending, like, for sure. But to understand that the outward physical way that it looks is also not the inner energetic piece of what's actually happening. And so do not let things overwhelm you as much as you can. There will be giant truths revealed that are even worse than some of the things that we're seeing now. I truly feel. I feel that the way that things are being opened up and kind of like revealed intermittently are just it's only a small part of what's happening. And so I know I am going to just say too that I am guilty of this. And so I'm saying this as a person who understands 100%. Looking at the things that are happening will allow you to keep your, finger on the pulse of what's happening, but that doesn't help you energetically. And so that also means you're going to have to lean into the practices that you have. So if your practices are to go out in nature, to be able to have meditation time, to be able to do something that fills your bucket, like go singing or dancing and go out somewhere, be with people, like do those things. You have to do the things, because if you're not doing the things, then you're going to be allowing yourself to just get sucked into this giant vortex that is getting created by all of that energy. And the reality is that you are no help to anyone else if you're getting stuck in there. And I know that for a lot of us, it's like we feel like we have to see, because there is, we've known, like, don't, you can say whatever is being revealed right now is new, but like deep within a lot of us, we already knew how bad things kind of were, because you were able to sense a lot of that, right? And when we now see it, it's sometimes, for a lot of us, it's validation. It's also just enraging, because you're like, I knew this kind of thing was happening. The power manipulations, the hurting people, all of it. And when you are able to come to the center of yourself, find your center of yourself, and then put out that which is feeding the goodness and the light, then it is already counteracting all of that. It is already putting up a blind, it is allowing protective measure, like it's all of those things. And so it's so incredibly important to do those things, to center yourself, to regulate yourself, to make sure you're not getting thrown into dysregulation, and to make sure that you are feeding yourself something good in the middle of something that looks really bad. And so keeping yourself regulated, I, of course, will attach something in the description so that you can go to a resource if you need to be able to find something, whether it's a meditation, or I actually just put up a new quiz, which is all about finding your own regulation style, and I will link that below. So making sure that you're regulating yourself is so important. Okay, that is our fire energy. And so thank you for joining me. Just like always, I hope you find beauty in something small. And I will catch you guys on the next episode.